Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to make the windows in the Dark Fantasy kit in KitBash3D look a little bit better. So when I initially started Blender, I was trying to find a tutorial for this and I couldn't really find one. All right, so straight away you have these windows. If you add a point light, put it at 500 and you put it behind the window, right? There's going to be nothing there and they're just black and really not the best for interesting scene. So in order to get it to look see-through, you select one of the objects with the material on it. You can tab, press 3 for faces, select the face, and it will go and select the material in the material tab for you. So this is what you're working with. So I'll move this aside. I'll press a new material. So now we're working with a brand new material, and you can always go back to the base material if you need to. So press tab again, go back into this mode. And so what we want to do is put this base color into the alpha. And as you can see through it now, but you want to be able to have a little bit of that fancy design to it as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to Shift A and search for a color ramp. And if you just slide the white over, you'll start getting that design in there as well. You kind of just have to play with it to see what works best for you. And right there, just it already looks way better than it did before. Has actual light coming through, and you can see that it's projecting the design on the floor as well. So it's really nice. So this way it kind of takes a long time. So if you have a scene that has a lot of windows like this, you're gonna have all these point lights just over and over and over again to get the scene looking how you want it. But it's definitely worth doing because it's realistic and it looks really good. The way I was doing it before, it just made it look really bad. And I was making a material for the windows. So I would go to the window and I would just add an emission with a noise texture, and it would end up looking really just like a toy, not realistic at all. This way is much more realistic and it just looks 1,000 times better. Also, if you don't want the windows like completely see-through, because it's obviously empty inside the rooms, and so what I would do is just add a plane. Whatever my composition is, I would go in here and I would just make sure that it's covering everything I wanted to. I would just go to here and add one of these walls here, and it would make it super consistent. That way you can have windows, but you don't have to build a whole interior as well. And you can just continue to do that based on what your camera sees. All right, so let's see another way to do this. So I'm going to duplicate this again. This time it's going to be the number 2, and we can always go back if we need to. This time we're going to do it into the emission instead. So now we have this cool emission, and it's a lot less time consuming, I would say, because you don't have to have all those point lights. But you have to kind of do a few more steps to make it look realistic. I personally like the point light way a little bit better because it's really realistic. But this way you can make a material and you can change the color in the material for literally every single window that has this material applied to it. So we're here. We got the base color into a color ramp going to the emission, and if you look at it, the emission is on the actual design and not the window panel. So we want to make that opposite. So we just flip those colors here, and now the panel is black and the emission is going on the window panel. So this is much more realistic. Like I said before, I'd rather just use the point lights because this is just not super realistic, but it's definitely a fast way to do things. Over here, I'm just not liking how it's looking on the top, but over here it's much better. So you kind of have to find a good spot. And if you want to change color, you just click the white and you change color this way. Increase the value. You can either increase the value or like the emission strength. Obviously that's way too much. Put the value back to like 1 and just kind of play around until you get something that looks decent. So I'm gonna go with this for now. So it's way too uniform. Lighting, especially in a medieval setting, isn't this consistent. So I'm gonna go in here, press Shift A, search for a noise texture. I'm also going to put a color ramp in here. I'll put the FAC into the FAC and the color into the emission strength. And now we can increase this and go back here, increase the value all the way up. Now we have something going on. We can increase the scale till you think it looks good. You can change this black to a bit more gray to lessen the effect. And if you're like way far out, then maybe the material could be good. Like if you have a castle in the far back, you could definitely use this material. If you wanted to save a little bit of time, would be good. You can increase the value on here to make it pop out a little bit more. That's probably a little bit too much, my opinion. But yeah, you can just play with this and see what's best for you. So the thing here is you don't get any design on the floor. It's just kind of basic. Like I said, it probably would be better if you had a lot of material or a lot of small windows to light in a scene that you can't really see and it's really far in the distance. And then maybe do the other version for closer windows. All right, so another way you could do this is press tab 3 to select faces, and go up here, select similar materials, and we got all the materials selected, and we can duplicate that again just in case. And this time we're gonna do a image texture into the material and also into the emission. So this is definitely something that maybe isn't best for medieval stuff, but I want to show you guys just to continue to give some tips. So now we got this image texture into the base color and the emission. So it's giving off some emission, and I'll take this out for now. So we can see there's emission going through. Shift A, add a color ramp, and we're gonna put that into the emission and just kind of make the blacks more black. And once again, you can just change this color if you want to make the glow go through. So once again, if you're far away, maybe like if you're using a city, or even if you want to use it for this, you could press tab, Shift G, select similar material, and press U, unwrap. Okay, so it's unwrapped, and you can A to select everything and kind of scale that if you wanted to. It's definitely a different way to do things. So if you wanted to like keep the color in here, put this color into the alpha. That way you can keep the colors and have it transparent as well. So it's taking away the darkest parts of the image. So if you do a hue and saturation value on the alpha and reduce the value, it will start taking away more and more of that, of the darkest parts of the image. So as you can see, it's see-through except for some of these lights And yeah, that's also a good way to kind of add some interest to your scene. It's obviously not as realistic, but it's definitely something. It's really cool for like city scenes and stuff like that. You can add a sky texture or any kind of any image to give a mission off. Obviously this is not great, but my point is that you can add literally any image texture to the base color and the emission and the alpha to kind of get as creative as you want to with this. So you want to just continue to unwrap. You can cube projection it and it'll look great. This one kind of looks kind of cool. You know, you can just kind of do whatever you want to. If you wanted super realistic, I would go with the first thing. If you wanted more stylized, you can literally do whatever you want to with it, which is the coolest part about working with Blender. This galaxy kind of looks kind of cool. Spider webs. But yeah, you guys get the point. You can add image textures to the windows. It's not as realistic. You don't get the design. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to try to answer those. And that's all I have for you guys. Have a good one.